Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, King?
What up?
How was y'all's weekend?
Chill.
Not bad. Pretty chill. Got tomorrow off.
Nice, man. Oh, yeah, it's MLK Day tomorrow.
Absolutely, King.
That's
Absolutely.
right. I have my calendar marked.
It's a huge W.
For white hoteps everywhere. I can't believe the hoteps are out that day. I don't even know what ended up happening.
Yeah, dude, they just they showed up and then no one heard from them again.
Oh, wait, are we talking about the Capitol?
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite part about that was they unless I'm remembering it wrong, I remember they were all just kind of dressed in dad clothes a little bit, and they all had big walking sticks.
Yeah, they had clubs, big walking sticks and clubs.
They had they were all the wise men of the village.
Like a hotep shaman.
They're official. Exactly. They're official.
Exactly. It's just so fucking funny. It's bringing in the spellcasters.
Yeah, they got to counter the tricknology. Tricknology was at full force there at the Capitol building.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lost cause. The whole thing's a lost cause.
Use some of that hotep telekinesis to shoot back tear gas. That shit. So I'm at Slavoid T.
All right, this is Shit Spouter 37.
This is Black.com build.
This is the Fed Post.
Hotep telekinesis to shoot back tear gas.
That shit really is perfect. When that shit happens to that white hotep guy in Newark, those things happen. I'm like, damn, are we memeing reality? Is that really what's going on? That shit is wild.
Dude, it's funny because it's the libs do the Avengers video edits and all of that, but that's the actual Avengers. That's what that felt like.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
All these disparate factions showing up to work together.
Yeah, that's how they really got in the Capitol building. The hoteps were able to work their magic on them.
Right, and you got the Mexicans showing up to just sell corn dogs and shaved ice to people.
Yeah, you got my homie who used to sell drugs in college showing up and getting arrested there just on trying to sell drugs at the Capitol building.
Hear me?
Hey, we can hear you.
Yeah, we got you.
Coming in loud and clear.
Okay. Awesome. Sorry about that.
No problem. You think you could turn yours up a little bit? Just a little bit?
Yes. Is it louder now?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, there
it is. Perfect. Hey, Angie, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I feel like it's a good timing to have you on. I feel like last episode I was just saying that we kind of brushed past everything that happened, but there's a lot to talk about, obviously. But
yeah, it's a super difficult topic to broach, in a way that's not totally insane.
Yeah, and we have to be careful too because they're coming after podcasters now. So
yeah. We're the new disinformation jockeys.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, first they came for the podcasters. Yeah. So you have the normal posts, normal opinions in your handle now.
Yeah, we have to throw them off. We need to adopt all of their signifiers. Yeah. We need rainbow flags.
Rose
and there's
emoji.
weird the fucking anime AVI or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
We should just appropriate every single one of their signifiers so they leave us alone.
Yeah, I'm gay now.
Congrats, Slav.
What do you mean now?
We should all throw each other coming out parties, everything, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I've got Green New Deal, BLM, Me Too, all the hashtags and my rose emojis. I covered all the bases. I should be good now.
Yeah, awesome. I'm still trying to think of what more I can do. I mean, I have Black Woman down already, but that doesn't seem to be enough anymore. So
it's never enough.
I think I need to come out as a transracial white supremacist. I think that would be my happy middle.
All right.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Token transracial.
Yeah, Dr. Jekyll type deal going on here. your Mr. Hyde is a white supremacist personality.
Yes. I'm the Candace Owens stormtrooper of the left.
Yeah, everything is all mixed up now. I feel that cover for your last for Low Society was mad funny. The the thin blue wave. Yeah, that really
Yeah.
just summed it all up. Did Peter come up with that? Was that Peter?
Yeah, he did. And that's the thing is like irony is like so lost on people because I said thin blue wave and then I said thin soy wave and then he like mocked it up and like made it the cover image. So it was like a joint sort of thing. But yeah, irony is like lost on people because everyone has this sort of digitally induced like autism now where they just don't understand like when someone's being like humorous or like ironic. And there are a bunch of people who are like, oh my God, you're like fash now. You support like the fucking thin blue line. And it's like, it's supposed to be a fucking parody. Like what's wrong with these people?
Yeah, and plus there's no hyperbole anymore because like anything you could imagine as like a straw man is actually out there. Like if you imagine like, oh, Marx is for Biden, like no, that's a joke. Like that's just making fun of people. Like nobody really believes it.
Yeah.
That's actually a real thing. Like it's all lost now. I mean, yeah, all this realignment shit is very strange. I feel like I think it's the most clear now that everything's sort of like realigning.
Well, I think that's why the thin blue wave thing is so like on point because like now watching all these fucking like liberals and people on like the quote unquote left that are just like, well, why weren't they arresting and shooting and getting all those people at the Capitol? Like, and then posting them like getting raided at their house by the FBI, like, yeah, get their asses, woo! Like,
on the police, yeah.
Right, plant some fucking crack on them.
yeah.
Plant some fucking heroin on these fucking yokels. Throw them in the slammer.
It's like all of their like worst authoritarian impulses just like emerged in like one fell swoop. But it's no surprise, the culture war stuff has had such a deleterious effect on people's like ability to think critically and analyze like political economy. And people forget to look where the power is. Like they'll focus on all these specters, like the specter of like fascism, the specter of these like Hicks and these white nationalists, like people who have absolutely no institutional power,
right?
But then they'll ignore what like the people with institutional power are actually fucking up to and the shit that they're trying to codify into law and the norms that they're trying to sort of establish. I think it's terrifying. It's scary and like all dissent now must be rooted in racism or bigotry of some kind. Like you can't even dissent anymore without being lumped into the basket of deplorables. But I guess we're all fucking deplorables now.
Right.
Like everyone's a deplorable. So
definitely
what can we do?
Yeah.
I think it's funny like how they're calling this whole like storm at the Capitol building and stuff like an attempted coup and like a fascist coup and insurrection. It's like, dude, seriously, like how the fuck could you think that these people have power to coup the goddamn United States government? Like these like 200 people that showed up in the Capitol building and hung out for a few hours, like these people just have a fundamental misunderstanding of power.
Yeah, and what did you see I mean, like, Kamala's still going to be president in a month, so what does that even mean? I don't understand what that coup means.
Like, did you see the AOC like thing where she was like, "I'm okay, guys. Like, I was just, I
my God,
worst tweet of the day."
Hyperbolic, like fucking pearl clutching. It's ridiculous and it's morally bankrupt and it's all being used to sort of usher in this like new technocratic like regime that crushes all forms of political dissent. And like, the censorship aspect is also something that I guess you guys as well, like anyone who does anything publicly that's like dissenting of the status quo, like we're all kind of, it was like the last week or so, all of us have been having a little bit of a collective panic.
Oh yeah.
Because it just seems to be sort of like really pushing down more now than it has before.
Oh yeah, everybody's scattering from Twitter and like, yeah. I mean, it's funny.
Where's everyone going? You guys have to keep me in the know, keep me cool.
We only have that Discord, the Fed cord.
Yeah.
And like, I guess that's a honeypot. I've been told that it's the Fed honeypot like as soon as it started like a year ago. But like, I mean, I don't know where else to go. Gab, I guess. Gab's the other thing. I mean, they're all honeypots, but there's gonna be something. You can't get rid of dissent. You can't really, all this stuff is kicking the can. You can't really get rid of it. It'll be somewhere. People will
maybe out of this will emerge some sort of genuine subculture again, because obviously subculture is like dead, and like everything is now subculture, everything is niche, everything is personalized. Like we're all like neoliberal subjects, like consuming our individualized sort of custom reality. But like maybe this will force people or force us kind of creatives to get creative again and like maybe use other channels of communication and other ways of bypassing like algorithms in terms of like word of mouth or other means, like the old school. We're going to have to go back to sort of old school ways of kind of creating chains of social capital.
Like
and
you said, like flying ravens or pigeons, pigeon carrier.
Yeah, exactly. Telepathy. Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's just I mean, I am worried about I know we talked about this a little when Peter was on, but like I am a little worried about the echo chamber thing. It's like we get into the Discord with just like people who listen to Fed Post, and I'm just like, yeah, as much as I hate the Radlibs, like I don't know if I want to just end up in a place where like, you know, there's no Radlibs or there's no libs or neocons or like, you know what I mean? I don't that's worse to me.
Yeah, you find out those people are retarded too, but they just share similar opinions to you, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't want that, and especially this year as well. Like I'm making a point of like talking to basically everybody.
Yeah, and
I feel like that there's a lot more space for that now because all forms of dissent are being sort of pushed to the fringes, and this is sort of a sort of bipartisan, cross-partisan issue that everyone's sort of concerned about, and it gives people like us a chance to sort of talk to everybody and branch out and not try to cultivate like our own like stupid like demographic. That's sort of what people tried to do with like the dirtbag left,
right,
and that gave us like Vosh, and that gave us like you know, just like this sort of anti-demographic, and we don't want to sort of set ourselves up as an anti-demographic because then we're easier to sort of pinpoint and take down. Like we want to be doing our own like co-intel host shit under the surface.
Yeah, we want everybody on this show. I mean, even if I disagree with them about stuff, or even if I personally dislike them, definitely like every guest before this, like, you know, I still want them on. But yeah, the vouch thing, yeah, I have to mention that, not since you brought him up, like that shit when it was going on, he's like, oh, what about our precious Capitol building and like our elected officials? I was like, yo, I couldn't believe that shit. Like, I know he's just a lib, but it was just amazing. It's just amazing.
No,
like,
I wasn't surprised. I mean, people thought initially when he first came onto the scene that he was like, because he was sort of like, he would use slurs and like, you know, he was naughty. And he would say naughty things.
Crazy ass white boy.
Yeah, he would you know, he was irreverent, and they thought that he was like this whole, but he has the politics of like a fucking 50-year-old white woman. Like there's nothing really that subversive about him other than the sort of aesthetics that he'd donned. So it didn't really surprise me that he like pulled out like the Judge Dredd Law and Order fucking act when it sort of suited him to do so.
It's just wild like, in the heat of the moment, just seeing like people just like really taking the mask off and just like
all of them, ContraPoints, all of those fucking people, like every single one of them. But can you like think about it? Like, you know, these are people who are sort of embedded within that sort of DNC milieu. You have AOC like going on their streams and shit, like you know, they're just manufacturing consent in return for, you know, legitimacy and social capital.
They want to get those TED Talks, baby.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's why there's so much utility to like watching their reaction to what happened and like seeing like what played out this past week and being able to like draw that out and then being able to critique it in the way that you did and say, look, yeah, obviously they're going to have this reaction. And obviously like that's why these people are like sheepdogging us into like DNC positions all the fucking time, because that's in their interest, like in their class interest in the position that they hold. And like, I think there's a lot of utility to that.
Yeah, I don't think I made it clear on the last episode, but I really loved that day. Like, I loved every bit of it. Like watching those people in there, like at the podium and all that, like, and those politicians running and cowering. I loved every second of that. And AOC being like, I'm okay. That was the biggest buzzkill. I was like, yo, I know you're fine.
Bitch, no one cares. No one thought you were dead. What the fuck?
I don't want to hear that anyways.
About?
Like, let me dream.
dude. Regardless of what my thoughts are, just on like the nature of it and like in the grand aftermath scheme. And everything.
Yeah.
Dude, that day I was at work that whole day, right? But it was super fucking slow. And like, oh my God, that was the most fun on Twitter. I can't believe this shit's free.
Yeah.
It was one of those kinds of days. Like,
I remember Slav messaged me. You were like, you got to get on Twitter right now. And I was like, wait, what happened?
There's whole just storming the building.
Dude, it was great, man. Like one of the greatest. It's like, that's up there with fucking RBG dying. And I mean, I guess Captain Obvious, but Captain Obvious is like a little esoteric.
Yeah, that was
like,
a little more.
That was the worst thing. Like, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, just absolutely one of the greatest. And if you didn't enjoy that, like if you were like watching that being like, oh my God, if you were literally shaking right now, like,
oh my God. There were so many people, like joyless motherfuckers who like I don't know, maybe it's because I have this little bit of a Loki-esque kind of trickster vibe. I don't know, like my fucking witch cackle came in that day. I feel like there's a point in every woman's life. Yeah, there's like a point in every woman's life where you get to that stage where you're fully like in your womanhood and your witch cackle emerges, and that like chaotic witch cackle just it was a very interesting moment for sure.
Yeah, trickster mode.
Everyone was a fucking wet blanket. They were like, you know, the first take that came out, everybody had lightning fast takes, which we'll get to later, like the whole like just like machine of people pumping out like takes from their camp or whatever. But like the wet blankets were like, oh well, this is racist. Like, you know, these people, if they were black, they would have got shot. I'm like, look, maybe you're right. Like maybe I agree with you. Like I probably do agree with you, but why are you ruining my fun? Like why? Let me enjoy this. Like let me fucking enjoy this for a little bit. Like all those people were fucking lame as fuck, man, and they're all like left libs. Like why can't you just enjoy it?
They're sanctimonious. That's why. Like they have that whole like Chris Hedges like liberation theology, like sanctimony to them, but it's not actually rooted in any sort of real conviction.
Right.
It's rooted in like team sports and basically because they're the same way. They'll while out and like fucking pop off when you know Black Lives Matter is like, you know, when there's like a Black Lives Matter rally and like shit's getting burned down. And you know when Trump was inaugurated, remember there was that whole like crowd of like Antifa rad libs or whatever who were actively trying to sabotage his inauguration. And, you know, Teen Vogue recently wrote about it and said that there should be a memorial for this like specific event because it was like one of the biggest sort of maneuvers in fighting against the orange man or whatever the fuck. And it's a double standard of hypocrisy that they're like they'll cheer on political dissidents when it comes from their side of the culture war spectrum. But then when it comes from the right side of the culture war, it's fascism, and oh, by the way, all of your civil rights, every single thing that sort of enables political dissent is also fascism too. It's fucking stupid, and they think people are fucking stupid. They think we're fucking stupid. They think we're fucking dumb, but we're not.
Exactly. Yeah, they're like, oh, I hate Pelosi. I fucking hate that bitch. I hate fucking Chuck Schumer. They say all this and McConnell, but then and they're like, yeah, I want to like do some, you know, go there with guillotines and all that. But when something actually happens that's like slightly threatening to them, they're all like, whoa, slow down. I didn't mean this. This is crazy. Like,
right. Let's all keep a cool head and never forget they hate Pelosi, but they don't hate Pelosi quite as much as they hate Jimmy Dore.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big takeaways for me and all this was just like this. You know, we're talking about like ContraPoints and Vouch, and this whole aesthetic revolutionary politics is just nothing but a fucking. It's a rebrand, right? Yeah. Because like the revolutionary ethos of American culture is way more, and it's basically a myth in a lot of ways, but it's way more present in what happened in the Capitol and like the right wing than like anything that these motherfuckers do at all. But it's been completely
that's why I made that joke that got me cancelled. Like I think that was the final like nail in the coffin of my cancelling when I said that the guy who sat in Nancy Pelosi's chair deserves a mutual aid hand job. And they all like collectively lost their shit, and they were like, oh, you're a bed wench, you want to give fascists hand jobs, all just like collectively fucking lost their minds. But like the whole point of that joke is like, how many of you motherfuckers with your revolutionary ethos have like gotten that far? Like how many of you have actually really stuck it to the establishment? In fact, y'all are the ones who are constantly shilling for the establishment.
Right.
No, it's it's always supposed to be completely disconnected from reality. It's not even connected with our own fucking nation's history. It's like the guillotine shit and Red Revolution shit and all of this stuff. Oh, just in another universe, it could be like this. And you realize all that it's about is to just complete. It's part of the process of the rebrand, and to completely scrub that from our cultural narratives and everything, which for the record, for any like right wingers listening, like has been a successful project. Like that. I personally don't think that like that revolutionary ethos of American culture is really present at all anymore. I think that it has been, for the most part, like replaced by this weird blue hair guillotine fucking bizarre shit that has nothing to do with America.
It's been recuperated by the neoliberal order, really. And all of these blue hair guillotine people are just like the perfect little neoliberal subjects. And they're carrying water for, the neoliberal order. They're Thatcherites, really, in their politics, in their position, in their worldview. They're sort of, the self-impelled individuals of the Thatcher era, sort of masquerading as this populist left, like, movement of, like, ooh people or whatever the fuck. And yeah, it's incredibly pernicious. And the thing that shocked me the most was sort of the degree of dehumanizing and like brutality. Like there are people tweeting that I remember there was this one specific tweet that I saw from a journalist, a blue checkmark journalist, who basically said that the woman who was shot in the neck was now feeding the maggots, and that she was this sort of subhuman, disgusting piece of shit walking around pretending to be human. And it's like, if any of us ever tweeted something like that about any political opponent, they would fucking throw us under the jail. They would fucking remove our platform. But it's like rules for thee, but not for me. Like, they get to be as disgusting as they want. They get to essentialize people. They get to dehumanize people. They get to be fascistic, while, using the moral cover of anti-fascism as a bludgeon against anyone who's like politically inconvenient to them.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because, I used to think that way. I really did. When I was like a standard lib, I really did think like these people are like genetically inferior. They're morons. They're, the
they're Archubian devils mostly. So I mean,
exactly. I wasn't even that woke. I wasn't even that woke. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the same way that racism is sort of a justifying ideology to kind of concentrate the brutality of the system on a specific population, and sort of allow the excesses of the system to sort of exercise themselves on those people, the ideology of the quote unquote deplorables is now kind of the new justifying ideology for, the dehumanizing and, and it doesn't matter who you are. Like I said, the black woman thing isn't even enough. Like once you become an inconvenience, once you get thrown into that basket of deplorables, like anything goes, everything is fine. You can be treated and abhorrently, completely dehumanized. Like on the day of what was going on, because I didn't automatically sort of spin the Jacobin party line, I received like over 100 fucking death threats.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I get fucking brutal, and I'm not trying to like self-victimize. I'm just trying to show like what actually fucking happens and how these people like actually behave.
Yeah, and Amy too.
Shout out to our brave anti-fascists that were in your DMs there.
Yeah.
We're doing the work.
Coming after me, the stormtrooper Candace Owens. It's crazy. And I mean, yeah, it's absolutely insane. And and I've always known this, like ever since the beginning of my like time as like a public sort of person on the internet, talking about politics. That's always been the case. Like it was always sort of a baptism by fire. And I'm not regretful, because it sort of made me a lot more consciously aware of like the mode that these people operate in. And there's no length that they won't go to silence dissent. And I feel like a lot of people who are like in our like weird little milieu need to take that a lot more seriously. Like they'll come after your like real life. They will they'll do anything to stop you from being able to speak, and to challenge like their status quo.
No, and I mean,
even during the summer, like the black men were like the after Floyd got hit, like that was after he was murdered. Then it was like idolizing black men. And then after that, immediately within a couple months, it shifted to black men are actually the enemy because they hurt black women and black trans women. And it just flips on a dime. So it's like what you're saying, like, it doesn't matter what you are, if you're in like a sacred category or whatever, they'll make you the enemy too at any point, and then it'll be black trans women, and it's endlessly divisible. And like that's what I realized was like when I used to think that way, and I regret the way I thought about like the right wingers and like in the middle of the country, whatever. Like, and then later on I'd be more aware of like economic things that were driving that, and people would call me like a white nationalist Nazi because they didn't see my like they didn't know what race I was. And then
I want to know what race you are. I want to check your privilege.
Oh yeah, I'll sequence the genome and send it over.
I want to do a race science right here. I want to get my like head measuring device out.
I get the calipers.
I can't give specifics because it's too specific. But if I said exactly what everyone would know it would narrow me down very fast.
Oh no!
But I'm black and Asian. I'm
okay.
I'm East African and East Asian. I'll leave it at that.
Oh wow! But I'm West African and Arab. Yeah, I'm a Blarab. That's what I call myself.
Yeah, we're protected for now, but our days are. It's like Slav told me. Our days are numbered.
Yeah, too good for too long.
We're biracial, transracial. we need to put all the signifiers out there so that they'll leave us alone.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me. Not only am I gay now since the Capitol, but I'm black now. So I'm hoping that gets us a couple extra weeks of the podcast.
Yeah. So brave.
So brave. So stunning. It's been a really weird it's been a weird week, but yeah, we do need to fortify ourselves and be more communicative, because obviously like it's not going to get better and like unless we make it so, unless we like safeguard ourselves, it's not automatically just going to sort of shift in our favor. Everything is sort of shifting away from our favor at the moment, and I see it like with this sort of more broader sort of principled political like milieus. Like there needs to be sort of like a better kind of understanding of the media environment. As much as we hate it, I think we need to like understand it and understand how it maneuvers better. And I guess that's what my sort of little brush with BreadTube was, sort of a school, a learning environment for me to sort of see all of their dirty little tricks and how they sort of maneuver. And yeah, it's a mode of like brutality. And we have to get more fucking brutal and more serious about what the fuck we're doing, because I fear for the longevity of everything otherwise.
Yeah, everybody wants to turn on each other instead of people in power, and that's what I learned with all this whole thing. And like honestly, even the MAGA people that were cheering on like the cops during the riots in the summer, the Floyd riots, I was like, it's like, you be careful, because if you don't like the people in power, like you got Trump now, but when things change and the people in power against you, these people will discipline you. So be careful who you cheer on, because I think the hyper focus on cops is stupid. I think that's stupid. But all I'm saying is like I hated on like the middle American right wingers in the past, and like those things that I encourage or condone the state doing to discipline them, they come back to me. And I think everybody is sort of like as time goes on, we're going to see more of it, of like you give these people license to do these things, or you empower them to do these things, and because you hate your cultural enemy, and everything's justified no matter what your leftist principles were about whatever, it's all justified because they're fascists, right? That's the excuse for everything. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, then don't be shocked when it comes back on you, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean,
eventually. even then, it's kind of a rules for thee, but not for me sort of situation, because like I said, they get away with so much more. And even when they do have brushes with like the sort of punitive algorithmic things, it always ends up getting restored back in their favor. I don't know if you saw recently that fucking idiot milieu, the serfs.
Oh my God.
They were like complaining about like, oh my God, we got taken off YouTube after like fucking celebrating corporate censorship, like literally moments before it happened to them. But then, I mean, obviously there's an element of schadenfreude there, but then you have to think, are they really going to suffer suffer any sort of real censorship or consequences when the sort of content mill of chud dunking and drama sort of benefits the platform, and it also works well for the political aims of like the DNC. Like they're not going to really see very much in terms of censorship, and they'll make a big stink about it because obviously that's what, you know, it gets attention and it gets sympathy and all of those things.
Yes.
But really and truly, like even the idea that this whole thing will come back to bite the libs in the ass, I'm kind of skeptical of it, because it's the way that these measures are enforced are purely political. It's purely political at this point. It's purely sort of aimed towards anything that's politically dissident or a thorn in the side of their status quo.
Right.
And that's sort of my primary concern, which is why, I think we need to get more brutal and savvy and a little bit more discerning about the environment. Where Twitter is not here to give us a platform to own the libs. Neither is YouTube. And these motherfuckers are coming for podcasting too. I mean, they're already spinning moral panics about how podcasts are the new mode of like disinformation, and like all these awful like Chinese and Russian lies are being perpetuated without any pushback. Like, they're gonna come for us, and we can't
pushback on that.
Yeah, I got some pushback too.
Yeah, go push back.
That's just a meme we have on the show. What were you saying? No, I'm sorry, we interrupted.
No, it's all good. I was just saying it's like we have to get more sort of savvy in that regard, because the space isn't gonna like make itself for us. We have to carve it out like ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good caveat, because like I think every different like underclass group, like they might cheer something on the state brutalizing people, and then it comes back on them. But the libs, like the people who, or fake leftists who like, you know, cling to the leg of power, like they're fine. They're I mean, they kind of already know this. Like they'll never be on the receiving end of this. But what do you
exactly? And like that's I think that like it in theory it does make a lot of sense, because whenever expansions of this kind of authority are put in place, like the go-to response is always to be like, well, this will have, you know, unforeseen consequences, and it will be used in ways that you don't like it at some point. But that still does, to everything that you were just saying, like that still does cover for them ultimately, because it's obscuring the fact that like the left almost entirely covers for the ruling class, completely covers for authority in the state. And so even just this idea that like is coming from a pretty valid observation that it will be used against them is ultimately bullshit. Like the serfs, little fucking peanut brain beta cucks, aren't gonna have their livelihoods challenged by this, like really at all. And you notice, you know, whenever I've seen like a video of Vosh, sentient ponytail Vosh talking about this, and like whenever leftists on YouTube or whatever talk about, you know, leftists being censored and everything, you always kind of notice too, though, that like it's never quite as severe as the opposition's censorship.
No, it's ambulance chasing, because they know that a lot of the audience are like ambulance chasers who like to flock around tragedy like vultures, and a lot of the sort of hyperbolic, like you're rewarded with social capital for crying foul. It's like their little white boy version of like Me Too. The whole censorship thing is basically like them crying Me Too, and obviously a ton of attention and false camaraderie comes from those sorts of, and they're usually like mistakes of YouTube or some sort of glitch or whatever the fuck that's obviously going to be sorted out. But then when it happens to actual people who are doing like dissidents, like proper dissidents, it's never just a glitch, and it's never something that's quickly or easily fixable by a few people tweeting at YouTube.
It suddenly becomes get fucked, chud.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is like all the like Chapo response was the whole time, right? It's basically just being like, look how stupid these people are,
right?
Look how fucking dumb all these people are, and like you know, expecting any kind of meaningful input beyond that, you know, like, you know, you're gonna expose the game if you do that.
Yeah. It's the brain worm of like partisan bullshit. Like people are willing to sort of obfuscate like collective good in favor of like team sports. Like that team is doing badly and my team's winning. Like all of that sort of bullshit gets in the way of like, hey, what is actually being codified into law here? What does this mean in terms of like how we do due process as a society? And I mean, the social justice sort of tint has been heading in that direction for a really long time. Like one of the main sort of criticisms of Me Too was the sort of lack of due process that was involved, or this sort of encouragement to sort of get rid of due process and sort of hang people in the court of public opinion. Same thing with, cancel culture in general. The idea that, public opinion is the ultimate arbiter of what is good and what is true. And of course, you're going to start seeing those things sort of sneakily codifying themselves, whether it be through law or through these private corporations that sort of dominate the domain of like public speech and sort of public interaction. So yeah, it's no surprise this is exactly what this mode wants. It wants to get rid of due process and subject everything to public opinion, which is obviously stirred by big influencers who have a lot of social capital to sort of influence public opinion.
Yeah, a lot of this reminds me of the aughts with the, we're getting the Patriot Act 2 now and all this, and a lot of it reminds me of the aughts where, like, I saw some video of, like, AOC saying, like, if this was a foreign attack, we'd retaliate, like she was talking like that. And she's like, so, we need to monitor these people, these MAGA people, and like, and obviously what comes after that is like stripping of rights and all that due process. So it's just funny that she said that with that like tone, because that's all like Bush neocon shit that was the whole reason I like sided with the left back then, was like, I don't agree with this shit. I think this is dumb. I think
admit it twitched a little, didn't it, when she said that?
I told you that in private. That's crazy. Yeah, the Dom AOC. Like, no, I mean, it's all this thing is this whole thing is ridiculous. That if you think that you can censor these people, deplatform these people, bomb them away, do all this stuff, just be more brutal, and then it'll go away. And it's just the most insane thing to me, because why you do that to Al Qaeda and what? Then you get ISIS. You do that to ISIS, and what's coming after that? Obviously, something more radical. So
they rely on the generation of these specters, and like you said, in the aughts, it was sort of like Islamic terrorism, and now it's sort of the specter of dissident political movements, specifically like far right dissident political movements. But any order that tries to distract from what the status quo is doing by sort of trying to shift you to focus on a specter is obscuring and covering for what the status quo is doing. And yeah, like you said, like one of the things that went out of the window with like the Patriot Act and stuff was like due process and sort of extrajudicial decisions that were incredibly sort of harmful.
Right.
And yeah, that's what we're seeing become codified. And I find it terrifying, and I feel like principled people should speak up against it. But there's not very much room for principled people anymore. And it's really sad.
Yeah, Obama drone strike the 16-year-old American boy like overseas, like, no trial, no nothing. Like, I don't know how people, I don't know. It's very weird to me. I mean, just watching like the left just become like generic neocons. Like it's very bizarre watching it be so blatant. At least usually there's more of like subtlety to it. But like I've seen this before. Like I've seen this movie before. Like I know what this has already happened before. It's just I don't know. It's very, very bizarre. But
well. Enough doom and gloom. Sorry, I'm not used to being like interviewed. I like interviewing other people, but I want to know more about you guys. Like, what's with the whole Hotep aesthetic? That's something that I've always like found perplexing. I want to know more.
COH could explain that. He's the resident expert.
I think it's really just like a fascination with the Hotep subculture. And then also just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of broke it down on an episode way back when with Sheffrey about like white Hotepology. But it really just started as like a meme where I just took like Adam Driver. I took the Black Klansman cover and just put Adam Driver as the front, and then made it in a white Hotep instead of the movie being the Black Klansman. And then it just kind of went from there. And but then I started thinking like its utility, And I think it's just kind of to expose on its face like the absurdity of identity politics in these little groups in general, because like if you can be like a white hotep, that's fucking nuts, right? Like so like this ideology in itself is fucking bizarre, and obviously it comes from a material place, you know, but it's nuts. And so it's kind of like has utility in that, kind of exposing how all of our little like identity traps we get stuck in is just farce, and it's just a specter in itself. And so because of that, why not fucking make it the most absurd possible thing?
It's like it's a Dolezalian critique.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I used to date like a hotep guy, so I'm like very much
Let's go. Fuck yeah.
This is like way back when I was like young and naive, like little 19-year-old Angie who like didn't know anything, and like he called me a queen. So
Hey, boom.
There it is.
Sounds like a straight shooter. Whatever
He's a
happened
king.
to him.
No, it was interesting until the like fucking like weird ideology like
Yeah.
to the forefront.
Was
But
he
then
trad?
I got some. Was he? Yeah, he was very trad.
Right.
Though, like the queen shit came along with all the trad expectations, which I
Right.
didn't really like realize. But I got some good D out of it at least. Like you know,
At least, yeah.
fun memories.
Yeah, that is what's funny about the whole thing is like a lot of that stuff is trad, like the white national stuff or the black separatist stuff. Like, and if you go to any third world place in the world, like it's trad. Like this is just what it is. Like there's so much overlap. So it's just like, yeah, I think that shit kind of sums it up. The white hotel thing. That's the thing. That's really just sums it all up.
And it's also me trying to cover my ass because like I'm a white guy. I mean, I'm Italian, so I guess not really. But like I'm a white guy, so like I'm trying to really just kind of cover my ass here and just go ahead and embrace the fact that like, yeah, white people are evil. I'm on your side, man. I'm a
For black
hotep.
supremacy. Yeah, black supremacy.
Maybe they can slip through.
That's why I've just rid myself of all whiteness that I had within
Yep,
me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're our transracial king.
Yeah, when I'm feeling like the male Dolezal right here.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, I don't know. I was fascinated with the whole, because I'm a little bit of a woo person, and I'm like open to like spirituality and stuff. And inevitably when you sort of hang out in spiritual circles, you'll like run into the hoteps. Like it's in any sort of like anything that's like linked to sort of like African spirituality, you'll like run into like the hoteps, and like their cosmology is so weird and whacked out. Like it's an amalgamation of like everything, just like from your weird like new age metaphysics to like Egyptian shit, and but like also has the same traditional values as like white European like fashy trad shit as well. It's really, really strange. And there's also aliens sometimes as well.
Oh, there's always aliens.
Some of them live in the Earth's crust. So they're actually not really aliens. They're actually terrestrial beings, but they're like trans-dimensional.
Like people don't believe that we have hoteps here in the UK, but we do. Like all the bullshit that like Black Americans do comes to the UK like maybe 3 to 4 years later, and
truth finds a way.
It does. It does. It does. But there was like a couple of years ago, there was like a huge like hotep, like you'd see like Black Israelites as well in like the streets of central London.
Fuck yeah.
Preaching about like fucking, you know, slavery. And it's like most of the Black people here are like colonial subjects. Like we weren't slaves. Like that you're thinking about, like they see their Black experience like through the parameters of the Black American experience, even though it has nothing to do with like their experience as people from like fucking Nigeria and Ghana and Angola and all of these different places that were like colonized by the British Empire and stuff. It's really bizarre.
Well, if they're actually like hoteps and if they're actually like the Nation of Islam, then that makes total sense, because like it was started by this guy in like the 1920s or like 1900s, and he was essentially he moved up to the north from the south, and he was like just essentially telling people who escaped slavery like, well, actually you're the king, blah 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 blah, like we're the real kings, and like yeah, there's a lot of power to that, but then it became the thing it is, you know. It's
become this sort of commercialized like Wakanda version of Africa, and like like my family is like Nigerian. So I'm like, I have a lot of like I'm a third generation immigrant to the UK. So I still have my roots like pretty firmly in like Nigeria, and like the romanticism around Africa. It's so like far away from like the reality of what it actually is or means to like be. And most actual Africans are like Christians and like Muslims, and most of them don't give a shit about identity. They don't even view themselves as like black or like racialized subjects, because like everyone in Africa is like black. So the idea of like black pride is like, it's foreign. Like when like it's there's such a huge disconnect when I see the image, especially in England or like America, of like black families that are all like raising their fists and are woke, with like how I grew up, where my mom is like a Trump supporter and the majority of my family are like Trump supporters. And whenever like I used to go on my like little rad lib Black Lives Matter tirades, my mom would be like, shut the fuck up and like go and like get good grades and like, you know, do well in life. Like that's like the ethos of like most African families, and they're very conservative too. So like it's just this weird disconnect that I see, like, and you know, it's not really realistic in terms of how most like black Africans, who are the majority of black people on the planet, like view the world or like live.
Yeah, it's like the Latinx thing. Like Hispanic people don't fuck with that shit. Like there's like studies that come out like, yeah, none of them really believe in that shit, like, or say that shit. Like, yeah, it's like supplanting what they think they want to hear or whatever.
Oh, and like most like ethnocentric politics, like in the West, just don't even fucking make any sense for the reasons you just described anyways, because it's like, what does it mean for me to have pride in my whiteness? Like what is that? What is a white person? Like what was a white person 100 years ago and 200 years ago? Right? Like it doesn't fucking mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, you fucking idiots. Like at this point, you might as well just be acting like we're Easter eggs dunked in a certain pink, right? And
that was like the original premise anyway of like civil rights, was that my race or my identity doesn't matter. Yes. But now it's sort of shifted into like my identity is all that matters. Totally.
Yeah, well, actually, in that way,
180.
MLK was actually just acting. Everyone in the civil rights movement was actually just acting on some internalized white supremacy.
Well, they tried to cancel me a few weeks ago as well, because I like did an MLK quote. Like I said that I was more concerned about fucking white liberals than I am about like fucking white conservatives, which is like paraphrasing.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Exactly. That was good.
Yeah, and like they fucking. They wilded it out. They fucking freaked the fuck out. Like if MLK was alive today, it would be like that episode of the Boondocks.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, people would fucking hate him. Like people would fucking hate him.
Oh yeah. That's the thing that always tripped me out. Like when I was like a leftist, I was just like, you know, he definitely started to like have like a class reductionist like sort of mindset at the end of his life, because he realized like, what's that thing, like what good is the right to sit down at the restaurant if you can't afford the food? Like he was shifting that way, anti-war and all that. So like, yeah, all this stuff. I just remember thinking like all these white libs I know that like you know, revere MLK. Like if they heard him, they would be like, yo, this guy's a fucking radical, like you know, terrorist or something. Like that's how they would view him. It's like it's amazing. They whitewash the fuck out of him.
It's because they're fucking sanctimonious ambulance chasers, and they can't relate to black people unless it's from this sort of paternalistic vantage point. And they don't accept the idea that we're capable of critical thinking either. Like it's almost as if like who put you up to this kind of attitude that they have.
Anytime. What are you reading? What have you been reading? Who told you this? Yeah, I hate that shit.
And then like especially with like my whole run-in with Bread Sheep, that was the exact kind of attitude that I was sort of treated with, this sort of paternalistic thing where they really think black people are retarded. They think we're incapable of critical thought.
Oh, you've just been misled. It's not your fault, you know. Some white Mikubian misled you.
Like, it's because people were mean to you. That's why you've taken on this contrarian stance, Angie. Don't worry, you can still come to Jesus. Like, it's so offensive and demeaning. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like some of the way that Azealia Banks is treated as well.
Facts.
Yeah,
she is a fucking queen, by the way. Queen.
Yes.
The pandemic
oh my god,
queen.
were you guys serious about wanting to get her on?
Absolutely.
You're trying to. Yeah, we've been thirsty. We've been trying to get her on, but we can't find her. I don't know how I can't reach her.
Yeah, now that
Yeah.
Parler's shut down, you can't even hit her on Parler anymore.
Fuck. Is Parler really shut down?
Yeah, they've
I think so.
Parler's
they
shut
lost
down
their web
some.
servers because Amazon Cloud was like providing them their web servers that they had I'm not sure how internet works, but something to do with Amazon owned their servers, and they were like, nah, we're not doing that shit anymore.
Wow.
And that was after all the platforms dropped them from like their app store and stuff. The actual web itself stopped hosting it. So they doxed people, right?
Based Chairman Bezos. Yeah, they downloaded every post ever on Parler and then like compiled them and are just releasing them.
Is that real? I mean, I saw that and I don't doubt it at all, but like I don't think I've seen anything that's come out of that at all.
I went through like one of the posts and saw them, but at the same time, like I'm pretty tech illiterate, so like it could have been faked and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
She's on Instagram. She's on Instagram, by the way. Like that's where she normally does her like lives and like. So yeah, maybe.
Wait, are we talking about Abby?
No, it's Azealia.
Oh shit! Oh,
we can't talk about that, Slav. We gotta talk.
Well, I'm still recovering.
I want Azealia on because like people keep showing me her tweets, be like, "Yo, she's saying exactly what you say, bro. Lib pandemic, the neocon libs."
Her post was insanely based. It was like from a few days ago. It was like 4 pages worth of like calling Pelosi like a lizard and like all this shit.
Go.
Like it was based.
Trust the plan.
Oh man. Yeah, like you should if you manage to get a hook in there, put in a good word for the folks at Low Society, because I would fucking love to talk to her.
Absolutely.
She yelled at me on Facebook when I was 18.
What?
Yeah, and it was the best moment of my life.
Wait, what happened?
It was during my Radlib days, and she said something that I thought was problematic, and she drugged me. I deserved it though.
Hey, that'd be nice coming full circle to get her on.
Yeah. Hey, now let's be best friends. Let's be bays together.
Yeah, please, everybody listening, please harass Azealia on IG. Let's make that happen.
This was her Parler post verbatim, just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed off at all these disgusting bourgeoisie liberal nutbags who think that forcing their culture of politically correct, sterilized, identity-obsessed, neutered tranny paradise all over America is the way forward. I'm annoyed at the fact that we're being governed by a bunch of limp dick vegan hackers on LSD and modafinil. I fucking hate AOC and her Adderall indulgence. Fucking face, let's go. She called her a stupid, squeaky bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let's go.
Zealy.
Speak it.
Boys, I think I know who my future wife is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Oh man.
And she's also saying the virus is man-made. The disease is caused by it is literally a crazy inflammatory response to poison. Blah 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 blah.
Let's go.
The elites did it to restructure society. Let's fucking go. Okay.
Yo, fuck yeah, yo, that's the shit. That's the shit.
You guys are gonna get me in so much fucking trouble. Like, it's really, not only is Angie a fascist, she was on a podcast where they used the T word, and they're vax deniers. Like, I can hear it now.
Oh, yeah, let's say it real quick. Lib pandemic.
Lib pandemic.
No, it's all ironic. It's all a bit. We're the normal post. We're the normal post now. It's all a bit. There's no.
Yeah, this is all a Minecraft podcast.
Yeah, Minecraft persona.
Yeah, we're talking about the latest Mojang update to Minecraft.
You probably.
By the way, also, those were not our words.
Yeah.
Those were Azalea's words. So just reading it first, by the
words. That's what Angie said.
I didn't get the reference to whatever video game you were talking about. That's some like weird incel shit that I'm
yeah, no, that's probably a sign of good mental health.
No, that's good. Yeah,
that's some like I was 14 years old when it came out shit, so I was into it.
Yeah, don't even worry about that. That's a cover we use. Yeah, if anyone is coming to scrutinize the Fed post, we're actually just a Let's Play channel on YouTube, and we
do it. Like steal the lib clout. Like get on Twitch and like fucking do it. Like
I actually have thought about doing some like gaming streams to
do it.
Like talk to people about shit. That'd be kind of funny.
Do it, because I talk to like our like people in our like little weird like cancelled milieu all the time, and they're like, no, like Twitch is for rad libs, YouTube is is for rad libs. And like people make fun of me all the time in our little milieu. They're like, oh, you and your like theatrical fucking videos where you like wear costumes and act like all retarded. And it's like, you know what, bitch? You know what? Like, why are we surrendering all this territory to the rad libs?
You guys are on
like,
the front line. You and Peter and Ash, you guys are on the front line.
Like, why are we surrendering? Why are we surrendering all of that territory to the rad libs? We're just letting them sort of run roughshod and spread bullshit around. Like, we need to inject ourselves into every single place. We need a presence absolutely everywhere. And like, you know, we're willing to do whatever we can to sort of carve out the social capital to keep everyone afloat, but we need people everywhere, and we need to also like make sure that we have significant voices. And like the only way we can really do it without institutional backing, which is what the libs have, is like together forcefully. And yeah, I feel like people should, you know, there are a myriad of different approaches that one can take. Like, I'm not really like this sort of irony poisoned, you know, ahedonic type. Like, I'm very sincere.
Same.
I'm a sincere person. You know, I'm an Aquarius. I'm a true believer. You know, I can't help it. And like that's not to say anything about people who are irony poisoned. That's fine. But we need a myriad of approaches, and we need people to be literally absolutely everywhere. So like, yeah, fucking do it. Get on Twitch, play Warcraft or whatever the fuck. Like, do your thing.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Because YouTube, there's a lot of views out there. Like, yeah, and the libs own that. So like, yeah, we gotta.
And we need help. Me and Peter, like, we need help. We need other people to sort of like fucking promote. We need other people who are doing similar things so that we can actually have like a position in the algorithm now that we've been sort of kicked out of the milieu of like fucking leftist YouTube or whatever the fuck. Like,
you're right.
The more the merrier. The more people who are doing it, the less, you know, the radlibs can just like run roughshod on every single platform.
Right, but we can't dox ourselves because
we gotta face dox
lose all credibility.
Let's go.
Nah. We lose our jobs and lose all credibility.
Oh no. I feel like I've already done that. I've put my like little like fucking munchkin face out there for the world to see. So it's too late for me now.
That's brave.
I didn't know why I did it. It's because I was like fucking 24 years old and like completely retarded. But sometimes it's good to make decisions like that when you're young, you know.
No, somebody has to do it. It has to be done. Because I mean, I feel like I was telling that with Peter. I was like, this shit needs to be accessible. That's my number one thing. I don't want anything that we talk about to be like too esoteric or like what's the use of that? So you and a bunch of nerds can be like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, just like laughing amongst yourselves like, oh yeah, we're smarter than these people. What good is that? This shit doesn't do anything. Like, I'm totally in agreement. Like, more sincerity and more like there's enough of the detached irony thing like that helps facilitate the way things are going. You know what I mean? So fuck that. Like,
but like, I was just talking to my boyfriend about it, and he said a similar thing. It's like there's a certain impotence in like realizing that everything is shit, and there's only a certain few approaches you can take to sort of safeguard your ego from the impotence that comes along with realizing everything is shit.
Exactly.
And approach number one is sort of adopting this sort of detached ironic armor, and being like, well, I'm above it all.
Exactly.
And then approach number two is like blind insane optimism, where it's like, come on guys, ooh.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like there's a certain strength in accepting the impotence and trying your best to kind of blend approaches.
Totally.
And I feel like there's
about that all the time, like absurd optimism in the face of like certain doom. Like you're like, shit's fucked, but like, I mean, I know it's fucked. I have personal stakes. My life needs to be better. So like, I'm going to hope that it can get better and try to make it that way. Like,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You need to be a little detached. You need that for your own sanity. Like you need certain moments where you check out, and that's good. Like some levity. I mean, that's what levity is like checking out a little bit. So like you need that, but you can't completely check out, because then
I think like being able to like laugh at and say jokes about really fucked up shit, it doesn't always have to be like a detachment thing. It can also just be like an acknowledgement this is oftentimes the easiest way to grapple with challenging things, and being able to have like a good sense of humor about those kinds of things, being good humored, I think is really important. And I don't know, I'll talk to my family, I'll talk to, normie friends I have, and a lot of the framing, I get called like a pessimist, right? But like, but you're not a pessimist at the end of the day, because if you can acknowledge just how grim everything is, but then you're optimistic in the face of that, right? Right. That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. And yeah, I think being able to make a joke about something that is just so unspeakably terrible is a pretty reasonable and healthy and helpful way of dealing with challenge stuff.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, why do I have to
100%.
choose between being delusionally like a LARP, like, oh, well, Marx says this will all work itself out off inertia. I don't have to worry about anything, acceleration. Why do I have to be like insanely blindly optimistic, or just being like, detached, like Joker mode, like, this is all, none of this matters. Everything's a joke. Everything's spectacle. Why do I have to, there's gotta be in between that. Like that's crazy. Like there has to be like,
everything is Joker mode or trust the sacred text mode.
Exactly. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I remember like a month or two ago, like my aunt passed away. And I was on my way back from a trip out to the coast, and like me and my girlfriend were like taking a picture before we left, like at the beach. And like as I'm holding my phone up, notification comes up on the screen from my dad, just like, your aunt's dead. And this was like as we're posing for a picture. And I like made the joke. I'm just like, oh, this is like the picture we'll always have to remember of the exact moment I learned my aunt just died. And like that's genuinely funny to me.
Yeah.
But like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Just like having that approach to things, and like being able to react to a lot of the horrible shit that has happened in the last year that way doesn't mean that like, oh my God, I'm questioning your dedication to I'm questioning your dedication to the protection of Black lives because you have a sense of humor. Like,
but there's like a difference between like the liberal sanctimoniousness and like genuine sincerity, because their sanctimoniousness is like a defense mechanism for their lack of sincerity. They're not sincere about anything. They don't really have any real convictions or values. Exactly. They're not socially embedded people. They don't have any allegiance to anything.
These people are sick.
Yeah,
these people are fucking sick. Well, and they're also like, if you dig into any of this shit, like they're all fucking confused about the shit they're talking about all the time anyway. It's like, that's why it's always so easy to just like spin them in a new direction, right? You spin them around a little bit, get them dizzy, and then you just push them off in a new direction. Like it's always being 3 steps behind of the latest social script, right?
And there's that like Taoist saying is like, where like actual like spirituality fails, piety sort of takes over. And like it's like where actual genuine meaning fails, where those genuine sort of meaningful aspects, no longer are accessible, then you see people kind of taking on these pious stances. And that's really what it is. It's not, and I feel like the reason why people in our milieu are averse to what they deem sincerity is because they confuse sincerity and piety. A lot of the time they think that, sincerity means being sanctimonious or not making jokes about fucking, tragedy or anything like that, which I'm not averse to. I do all the time. Like I said, I just made the joke about the fucking mutual aid hand job, for fuck's sake. Like I'm all about that stuff. But like there's an element of like, we can't be nihilistic. Like we still have to sort of espouse our values when necessary as well. And I think a lot of people do that as well, but there's always that like self-surveillance of I don't want to be cringe type of thing.
Right. No, yeah, it's for real.
Fear of vulnerability.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with like the dirtbag left thing, where it's just like it's sort of like permanent detachment. And it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm permanently detached because it's all fucked and I know it's fucked. But it's what really it is like, oh, I'm vapid and none of this means anything to me either way. Like I'm economically fine either way. So who cares if it all burns down? I'll probably be good for a little bit longer than you. So whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's the trick. And being like, oh, if you do care, and that we talked about this before a little bit, but like, and exactly what you said. Like anybody showing any signs of actually being like, oh, this is actually fucked up, or I I don't like this. Any bit of that is like, that's lame or that's corny, whatever. And it's like, all right, well, you know, at a certain point, you don't seem cool to me. Like, you just seem like a fucking spoiled brat. That's how you seem to me. Because, I mean, people with real shit, real stakes, they're fucking pissed off. And, I mean, you can see it everywhere. You can see it on
it's
TV
like,
all year.
motherfucker, I know none of this shit matters, like, in the grand scheme of things. But, like, my fucking life matters. And so do goddamn people I know and live around. And, like, I want to do some shit to try to affect that. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
No, and that's the other thing is it's just like at a certain point, like you know, Chapo heads like you know, laughing at a girl getting shot in the throat at the Capitol because she fucking went to TGI Friday or something kind of bullshit like that is repellent.
Right.
It's like anti-human.
Yeah.
And like people are going, and this is my idealistic stance, which is that like there is a line where things become so against just the base nature of what is good for people, and you become so fucking poisonous to just humanity generally that you will be repellent to people. And I know that that's me doing the fucking like marketplace of ideas thing and everything a little bit, but like no, like at a certain point, like how can you hide the fact that you are, I mean, just using exterminationist rhetoric.
Yes.
You have no regard for the value of human life at all.
I mean, the whole point of like oppose the fash is the fact that, you know, that's an ideology that has a complete contempt for human life and doesn't value it. And to don that is absolutely like abhorrent and hypocritical and like counterintuitive to the goal of like opposing fascism. But it doesn't, it's again, rules for thee, but not for me. That's their whole ethos. And yeah, like you said, I'm optimistic in the same way that I think that there's a certain point where even people who agree on certain levels intuitively understand that this is like anti-human. And, you know, as Alex Jones says, I'm a human. I've got a heart and it's big and it beats blood. And I'm against this fucking order of like fucking lizards and shit. Like, I'm not about it.
Poet laureate Alex Jones.
That's why I like Alex Jones. Because, I mean, I'm sure he's a grifter to some extent. But, like, yeah, so the shit he means, like, I don't know. At least he conveys some giving a shit about what's going on and, like, the power dynamics at play. Like,
I'll be honest. I think the nicest thing like I can say that's also critical of Alex Jones is just that, like, I think he's sincere. I think he's just kind of dumb and kind of is just being spun up a little bit by people. At least
he's like a mad prophet. It's like, you know, the whole like broken clock is right twice a day thing. Cause like he says a lot of crazy shit, but then like there's an element of lucidity to his ravings that sort of end up being true a lot of the time. Like he said the whole Epstein thing before it was a thing. Like he said a lot of things before they became like codified.
We're talking about Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was away for a second. Fuck yeah.
It's all good. Like he's
We're Jones chilling.
We're Jones chilling, yeah. Like there's an element of like he's like a mad prophet almost, and like he speaks in this very bombastic archetypal language. And like I don't think he literally means lizards or this or satanic or whatever, but there is a certain very sort of pernicious like energy to the culture that we're in now. There's a very kind of dark undertone, like an inversion of every positive value that we once had, and there's something sort of very distinctly almost satanic about that. And like he speaks in these sort of massive symbols and these like huge archetypes, and I find it interesting. I mean, I don't agree with him on like I think he's like politically like retarded, like you said. I mean, even he even says it when he went on Joe Rogan, he's like, yeah, I'm retarded. You know,
but his intuitions are right. I think his intuitions are right. That's it.
He literally went out and saw people in the woods wearing fucking hoods, burning shit in front of a goddamn owl effigy, and like put out a movie, and people still didn't listen to him and laughed him off and acted like he was ridiculous. And like, eventually you just lean into that, like, and you're just gonna be like, you're gonna just constantly be the contrarian thing because like there's so much you've found that there's truth into that. So like you're just gonna be like, people push you off into this small circle and they corner you into a box to where like, yeah, he's gonna sound fucking crazy because no one's goddamn listened to him seriously for like 30 years, you know?
Yeah, you don't need a PhD to know that shit is fucked up. You don't need a PhD to be me and Grove. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Like, how many of these lefties have the balls to do that fucking shit? Like, none of them have the balls to expose the Moloch owl in the woods. Like, none of them have the fucking guts to do that.
No,
and I mean,
they're like thinking it's
serving the
cool.
people because they're serving the people out in the woods in those fucking
They
woods.
They are. And that's the thing is his assertion about, the technocratic anti-human order. What he's sort of inadvertently describing is like, the evolution of the neoliberal mode. And like, that's something that's real, and that's something that should terrify everybody. But, these people only care about team sports. There are so many things that are sort of cross-partisan, that sort of transcend political lines, things that every single one of us should be concerned about.
Right.
But, all these sort of left media actors care about is team sports. They don't actually care about the greater good. They don't care about, rights for everybody. They don't care about good quality of life for everybody. They don't care about anything collective. All they care about is like, is my team winning? Is the other team losing? It's all about.
Well, these media actors are like on the farm leagues for these teams, so like they gotta be supportive, and of course they're going to be fully in on it because like their like actual place in society, their social capital, and their job is directly tied to that team winning.
Oh yeah,
because then they can get called up to the big leagues.
That's a pretty good metaphor, honestly. The farm leagues, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, because during the Capitol raid, like, I mean, I'm sure you could say that I've fallen into one of two camps or whatever, three camps or whatever, but like it kind of amazed me in real time while it was happening, and nobody really knew like the scope of the thing or what this meant. Like, while it was still going on live, everybody had like fallen into their camps like narrative of it, like, oh, these people are just taking selfies, or it's just a joke. And then the other side was like, oh, we're getting shot, we're killing cops, like this is real. Like, it immediately everybody just fell into the thing, and you just see two different narratives playing out in real time on Twitter. And it makes me annoyed because it's like, damn, man, does anybody want to like stop and like, I mean, I was enjoying it for real. And I'm sure you could say I was on one of those camps, but like, can't we just like, I don't know, think about it for a little bit? Like, it just disturbed me how quick everybody was like, what are we supposed to say? What's the talking point? All right, let's go.
Take the time to actually sit there and like parse out what the truth is in between the two fucking sides.
Yeah. That it's very disturbing. I mean, it's very fast. Where they've got that shit well oiled now, where like if anything happens, they're gonna pump out narratives and talking points like immediately,
and the algorithm takes it and just runs with it too.
Exactly.
It's true, and it's why we all need to be like fucking vigilant, watch each other's backs, and like really fucking push forward. Like, there's no tomorrow to carve out space for subversive knowledge, because they're not going to hand it to us. In fact, they're ripping it from beneath our feet as we speak. So there's a lot of work to do, gentlemen. I just sounded like James Bond. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, you're our Q. This suitcase has a hidden button that will release the lib pandemic.
Take over all cell phones and put out a Fed post message.
Yeah.
I actually got Ren working on that, so you didn't need to worry about that.
Well, it was lovely to meet you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
And thanks to your audience for listening as well. Cool people.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This was great. Do you want anything to plug? Anything? I know there's Low Society. Is there anything else you wanted to plug?
I have a YouTube channel as well. I'll be working on a new video very soon about stan culture and neoliberalism. So you got that to look forward to. If you want to see me in a ridiculous costume doing cringe shit, then come to my YouTube channel.
Nice. Make sure it's safe. Make sure everything is, safe opinions, normal opinions.
Yeah, nothing like this episode.
No, nothing like this episode. Nothing at all. YouTube is far more dangerous.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Angie. We'll do this again sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to. And we want to have a crossover episode with you guys on Low Society. Let's make it happen.
Hey, let's go.
Great.
Hey,
Let's
nice.
do it. Let's do it.
Cool.
Thank you. All
right. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too.